So today's the big day where cackling Kamala Harris is absolutely having a meltdown, along with about 1 million blue-haired pronouns in their bio freaks across America, because Donald Trump has cancelled all other events in favor of one of the worst people in the world, Joe Rogan.
Trump is now president of the United States.
That interview is going on today. We're going to have a look at why so many people are having a meltdown and why so many based chads from the UFC support common sense and Donald Trump.
It's a damn travesty what they're doing to you. I'll be donating to you, my man. Let's get it done.
Long live Trump. Let's go, baby. Trump 2024.
Stop, but this motherfucker, he fights for all of us. He fights for all of you.
So I saw this headline and I was thinking, surely that's not real. Or is this just the heightened level of propaganda that we're reaching just a few days out from the actual election day? I guess it's coming down to this battle of social media, right? We see Trump doing all these podcasts and interviews, and we see Kamala bringing out like the worst of the worst people. I'll get into that in a minute, because people are trying to make some sort of comparison between the star power of Joe Rogan versus Beyonce. I know. Who? So this article says that Donald Trump is popping onto the Joe Rogan podcast today. I'm sure that's going to do monumental numbers. So many people are going to tune in to see this interview today. It's going to be insane. And I'm looking forward to see how exactly it goes down. Is Joe going to be nice and loose and having a conversation with Trump? Is it going to be real formal like that Donald Trump and Tim Pool interview there a few months ago? That was fine. Trump has aggressively dodged more mainstream news appearance, including going as far as to break election tradition by refusing to sit down with 60-minute interviewer in September. And rightly so. You shouldn't be partaking in that mainstream because it's trash. It's absolutely trash. To see what they've done with the Donald Trump thing over the last couple of weeks. I don't give two shits about Kamala Harris. Trump, I'm fine with. If I was there, I would vote for him, especially to close borders, especially to try stop some wars. Obviously, there's questions to be had about some of his policies, but in the same breath, this dude actually looks like he wants to go out there and do something for the people. And what's so funny is when you see people like Michael Keating coming out attacking him, saying that the people who support Trump are ridiculous. He's not your friend. He doesn't want to hang out with you. And Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, all these people do. And if they don't, show us how they're doing anything good for the country. Foreign policy is a shambles. Domestic economy is nosediving. Every city that you go to, majoritively progressive, but that's changing, are all absolutely riddled out of it with junkies and foreigners that are being loaded in by the busload. Absolutely vile. So of course you're going to look to what Donald Trump has done in the past and go and vote again. But they're panicking. They're in panic mode. And because Joe Rogan has the biggest voice out there, they have to come after him by calling him one of the worst people ever. And they've been doing it a long time. And we're going to have a little look at why as well. Like, one of the reasons that they're going after him is because he took offense to Kamala Harris talking about misinformation and free speech. And that's a very important topic in our times. Here in Ireland, we've just had a despotic, draconian hate speech law pass in the last couple of days. Terrifying. Misgender someone, you can go to prison now. Absolutely shocking. It's not new for the UK, but it's definitely new for Ireland, and it's something that the likes of Joe Rogan and Donald Trump want to try shut down over there. They want to hold on to free speech, and rightly so.
Because one of the things that has been discussed is cracking down on misinformation, and that free speech doesn't include misinformation, which is a wild thing to say after what we just went through with COVID, where what people were saying was misinformation turned out to be 100% true. And not just about COVID, but about a bunch of things. Hunter Biden laptop story. There's quite a few different things you could point to. Like, who the fuck gets to decide what's information? Only the government? You guys? The people that have lied about basically everything? Like, this is a crazy thing to say, and to be running on that, and to get people to support that. Just the lack of understanding of what it means to be able to freely express ideas and communicate, and whistleblower.
Telling the truth and using common sense the way Joe does here is something that terrifies the Democratic Party. It terrifies most progressive parties. And when you say that, you can put them all under the umbrella of our governments, because it's very rare that we have a right-wing government, and when we do, they're compromised. Joe poses a great question there. Who the fuck gets to decide what is misinformation and disinformation? You just look at where I live here in Ireland. We have a bunch of politicians who just passed a bill essentially shutting down free speech, and they decided it. The people had no input in this, and even the politicians that went against this were shut down. You're talking about a dictatorial movement here from liberal democracy. Remember, they keep saying that it's a democracy. Kamala Biden and his cabinet represent democracy. and they paint Donald Trump as the opposite of that, when in reality it's the inversion, and we all fucking know it. Joe knows it, and that's why he's hated. You remember what they did to him during the COVID stuff, when they put up a video of him recovering from the sickness after taking hydroxychloroquine and actually used a color grade to make him look sicker. There's no end to what these people will do. We saw what happened in 2020. Not even allowed to talk about that sort of shit. Imagine, but that is what misinformation and disinformation is all about, shutting down free speech. So imagine for a second that you're out there and you're on the fence and you're one of these people who doesn't know which way to vote and you're confused because social media has been hitting you from all different directions. Just know that the people like Kamala Harris, Joe Biden and that party in general want you to vote and are running on the basis of we will decide what free speech is. We will decide what you are allowed to say and what you are not allowed to say. The audacity to run on that sort of a platform is insane. And to think that people will vote for you, and not only vote for you, but actually go after the opposition of that, which is free speech. Sick. And it's obviously no news to anybody that people within UFC, within MMA, within combat sports in general lean right, because there's a lot of common sense and a lot of critical thinking that goes into the fight game. Progressive nutjobs with blue hair pronouns in their bios will lead you to believe that combat sports in general is just some meathead thing where people punch each other in the head and get CTE. There's a lot more to it. Retard, shut your fucking mouth. When you see the reception that Donald Trump gets when he walks into a UFC arena on fight night, it's something to behold, seriously. When you see the respect that he organically garnishes from UFC fighters, you have to ask questions then of, how is this a thing? This is not the guy that I'm being told about on CNN and MSNBC. This is not the guy who talks about German dictators all the time and wants to shut down and use the military against us. Think about the last time the military was used against the people in any way, shape or form. Well, here in Ireland and in the UK, Europe and even America, the police were used by progressive governments to come into your neighbourhoods and stop you from going to work. You remember that? All because of a sniffle, our inalienable rights were ripped off of us by the government, by the foot soldiers of the government. When you see protest after protest in Canada, Australia, the UK, even America, SWAT teams beating people to the ground because they came out and protested and wanted to go to work. They wanted to provide for their family. They wanted to provide to the system. They wanted to be successful. It was something that was innate within people. And the government foot soldiers, the army, the police were brought onto the streets and they beat people down. That's what happened, and that's what they've been lying about, and Joe Rogan knew it and called it out, and that's why they hate him. This week we've seen bunches of UFC fighters come out in support of Donald Trump, and rightly so, because we're getting to that time where if you believe in elections and you don't believe it's all some sort of theatre and there's someone behind pulling strings and they're just going to put their person in power, and if they have no other choice, and if they can't get away with these dodgy, pernicious movements in the middle of the night and jumpings of 600,000 in votes and everything like that, if they can't get away with that, then you never know, you might get a bull in a china shop, which was Donald Trump 2015. But we're getting close, and it's very interesting to see the juxtaposition between who Donald Trump has supporting him and who Kamala Harris has supporting her. This week we saw Justin Gaethje, Henry Cejudo, Ali Abdelaziz, which was a weird one, especially giving the old dodgy past that he has. I covered it before, but you know what? He's out there and he's doing what he has to do. These are dark political games that have to be played, and if you have to put a guy like Ali Abdelaziz out to talk in favour of Donald Trump and get all them votes from Ali Abdelaziz's type of guys, then that's what you got to do, because we know that these progressive nutjobs will stoop so fucking low and get whatever has to be got and do whatever has to be done to get this win over the line. We know that. It doesn't even have to be about harvesting votes. Maybe you can make them up. Maybe you can make up 600,000 of them in the middle of the night. I don't know. But Justin Gaethje, Henry Cejudo, Beneil Dariush, Ali Abdelaziz. Then we had a convention in Las Vegas yesterday. The lovely, beautiful Gina Carano comes out in support of Donald Trump.
If someone I don't like is installed in power, I plan on staying here and fighting it out. That's what patriots do. And
rightly so, she's been beaten down. Ex-UFC fighter, now actor, had the whole weight of Disney and that woke mind virus type people come after her, stood strong, stood her ground, and looks to someone like Donald Trump, who has had it all thrown at him and more, and still sees him pushing forward and fighting, and decides to get up there and give a beautiful speech. So that was awesome. Jorge Masvidal was out there. The list goes on and on of based chads that actually use common sense and get out there and try get this over the line. And we also get articles like this: Beyonce versus Joe Rogan, star powers for the US election. There's no real comparison between Joe and Beyonce. You know, cackling Kamala has pulled out all the black people this week. Beyonce has spent her entire career wanting to be white, dyeing her skin, dyeing her hair blonde, trying to be a white person, but when the rubber meets the road, they'll all revert back to exactly what they're about, and it's about supporting black people and shit like that. And I had to highlight this section here because when you compare who supports Kamala as opposed to who supports Donald Trump, it's cringe. Beyonce's backing for Harris comes on top of an endorsement from Taylor Swift. Okay. And appearances from Lizzo. Some big fat black bag of shit. Stevie Wonder. Is he faking being blind? Bruce Springsteen. You remember Bruce? Bruce said that no one could come to his concert unless they took an injection of some weird poisonous chemical or something like that. And we're all supposed to be born in the USA and something like that. It's like, dude, you were stopping people coming into your concert unless they did what the government told them to do, and they had to take what the government told them to take. Get the fuck out of here. Eminem. This guy is pathetic. He got rolled out this week. This guy's a wigger. This guy has spent his entire career wanting to be black and ironically being better than every black rapper, which is mad because you'd think he would hold some sort of pride in that, some sort of power in that because he was white. And he literally smashed that whole paradigm. But Eminem is adamant to be a nut job. He hates Trump. He's got Trump derangement syndrome. And he thinks that he's saving the country or something like that by getting up there talking shit with Kamala Harris. And of course, you have the token black guy at the end, Usher. Now, the first thing I thought when I saw this list of people that were endorsing Kamala Harris, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Lizzo, Eminem, and Usher, I'm like, is that like a P. Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein client list or something like that? Apparently not. These are the popular people within that sphere of kids and things like that. I don't know, it's weird. But to make the comparison that Joe Rogan has any sort of competition from Beyonce and Jay-Z, who are tied in with Hillary Clinton and Obama, and cackled at the idea of carpet bombing bunches of black kids over in the Middle East. Do you remember all that? I don't know. I'll stick with Joe. Thank you very much. Let me know if you're going to be watching the Donald Trump interview with Joe Rogan, or maybe you might give it a skip and go over and watch Lizzo and Usher and Eminem and Beyonce. Yeah, let me know down below. Cheers.